and they had more to say. They would drop a friend because she said, I can't make it at a late notice.
A late notice because the excuse was so flimsy.
You didn't even say that word. I was just thinking the
Flimsy.
same word, flimsy.
Does she
And
have to give you an excuse?
well, when you're choosing something over another person, because that's basically what she did. I mean, I was preparing, I had a dinner party. It's not like in the case of one person where they had a family medical emergency. Hers was something so flimsy you wouldn't, I mean, I can't even remember what it was. It was so minuscule. But my problem with it was you waited to the last minute. And oh, by the way, I could drop a salad off to you. No, thank you. I don't need it. I just really felt like I really didn't matter.
Disrespected.
Yeah, I really didn't matter as a
You
person.
didn't matter.
And I've known her a long time.
You
She
didn't
didn't value.
value.
She didn't value me. She didn't value the friendship, and she didn't value the group of people that were the circle of friends. So
And
it's more
that's-
than just me.
Yes.
It's the whole circle. Now, if they choose to be friends with her, that's fine. But I'll tell you this: she will never, ever come to my house.
And Paula means it.
I will. And I'm one of those like You can't change my mind. I'm just kind of stuck.
But you're a good church woman. Where is your forgiveness?
I really don't have any for this situation.
I just said for this situation.
I do
For this
not.
situation, not in general.
I love
But that's very typical. They say with female friendships, we take it seriously,
very seriously.
when they don't come through for us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more than just a salad, or it's more than it's disrespect. It's not valuing our relationship.
Exactly.
But we don't do that with men, or do
No.
we? We don't hold them to that degree of scrutiny. Would you say?
And I think in general that's correct.
I think
I
you're
don't
right.
have.
Yeah,
I don't.
right.
There is. I don't
think
think
that's
there's
right.
one answer.
We give them a lot more
It's
grace,
because men probably
unfortunately.
disappoint
They
so
stupid.
often.
Right.
All the
We
time.
become desensitized to
There
it.
you go. Like what?
Yeah.
Here we used to that ish.
And I have to tell you, like, I grew up with, so my godmother, who's 90, who's still living, it was my mom and my Aunt Phyllis and my Aunt Evelyn. And their pact was that no matter what happened, our friendship would outlast any of our husbands and
Amen.
anything else, the death of our children or whatever. Now, my mom and my Aunt Phyllis have passed on, but I have to tell you, they've had ups and downs, ins and outs, and what have you, but their friendship lasted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what people don't understand, they don't understand friendship.
Yeah.
Because friendship is far more than sitting around and just meeting and greeting people. Friendship is feeling, it's you're part of each other's lives. And to that point, with my mother's two best friends, my mother didn't have any sisters, I thought all these people were my aunts and uncles
Really?
and my cousins.
Same here.
When I found out how small my mother's family was, I said, oh, thank God we have some people in our family, because that's what family is really built on. It doesn't necessarily mean your blood,
Yeah.
but when people disappoint you, I really take it to heart. I really take friendship to heart. And I hate losing friends. I've lost friends through the years. But some friends you maintain, you pick up. I have a group now. I grew up with a couple of the girls, and we're back together again because their kids are grown, and we have a book club together. And we actually travel together once a year, and we try to visit a city where we can learn more about our Black history. So that's part of the premise of our book club. But I have to really say that we're an easy group because we all come from different walks of lives. There's 7 of us. And some have more than others. as far as liquid assets and what have you. But it's not about that. It's about the friendship. And I think people don't know how to be friends.
I think it comes, I know for me, your mother has a role in how you maintain and establish and maintain friendship, female friendships.
What do you mean?
For example, like my sister didn't come along until I was 17 years old. So it was myself, an older brother, and a younger brother. My mother, I'm very close to my mother. She's still alive. My mother has 4 sisters. And so I was able to see their interactions. They were in my life. My mother was very close with them. My mother has friends, female friends that she's known since kindergarten and are close with. And so for me, I didn't always recognize that, but my mother modeled female friendships unknowingly, most likely. And so me growing up, I had friends in my neighborhood and things like that, but I saw the value in having real female friendship from a child. Whether because as we all know, just because someone's your sister, your biological sister, doesn't necessarily mean that she is your friend. And so I feel like that is another relationship on top of being a biological sibling. So I was able to see that in front of me. And so for me, it was like, okay, so she modeled that. And so I feel like I was able to take that and live that with my friendships.
Yeah. My mother did the same thing. And me being an only child, and I've always been social my entire life. So I always had a girlfriend or two, not a lot. My mother always said you have your friends, your associates, and acquaintances, and you should have the smallest number in your life. You said this earlier is your friends, your true friends. Then you've got associates that they're on the periphery, and people you can hang out with. You kind of trust them a little bit. Then you have the associates. So I know a lot of people as well. But my circle is really small, and even as a child, one of my closest friends from kindergarten, she and I are still close. We've known each other since kindergarten. I have a couple friends like that. Two of my other closest friends who I've known are deceased, unfortunately. But again, to the day they passed, years and years and years. But my mom had very close. She had 4 sisters. She was the baby, and they were all close. But she also had women friends in her life that I called aunt. That took me till I was. They're not my. I knew my Aunt Laura, Ruby, Helen, and okay, fine. But I got it, and then that's for me. That was modeled for me. To your point, so I did the same thing. And being an only child, I wanted to have sisters. I always longed for siblings and didn't have them. So when I met women or girls that became close to me, I held on to the true friendships, and those have lasted. There are others, that weren't real, but the ones that have, they're very important to me. But to your point, right? It was modeled for me, and being an only child, I wanted that. So I think that's why I take it very seriously, and I will cast you out if you ain't for me. We can be cool, but you're not in my starting 8. My starting used to be 10, now it's 8. God rest their souls. But I literally will say they're women I know I can call on no matter what. I can call them in the middle of the night. They will answer the phone. They will listen to me cry. They will listen to me or not. They will tell me when I'm wrong. They'll tell me when I'm right. They understand my whatevers, and accept me, but they are like sisters to me, truly sisters to me, and I cherish that and would do anything to hold on to those relationships because they sustains me for sure.
So you said 8. You have 8 close friends.
Yeah, that I would say call sisters.
Okay. How about you, Tammy?
Okay. Well,
because I'm understanding that you have friends
I
outside
do.
of these
I
friends.
do. And so that's why I'm like, I have different circles of friends.
As close?
too.
Are they equally close?
No, they're not equally
So
close.
are these
but
your closest friends or not?
the divas?
The divas.
The divas are, and it's interesting. Even within the divas, there's different relationships within the divas.
'Cause how many are in the divas?
It's 6 of us on the
You
chain.
created it.
I did.
Yeah, right.
Dawn, Tammy, Paula, Sakina, Tamika, me. 6 of us.
Okay.
6 at the core. Then our externals are Aisha, Shelly, who I've known forever.
That's
since,
her
like,
best
That's my
friend.
ride and
That's
die
her best
from junior high.
And we all went to the same church.
And we all same
Yeah.
church together, yeah. And then Jocelyn, of course, was deceased. And then Pam, who is one of my closest, but she has since gotten to know all of them.
And then
She's not a
Letitia.
diva, but she's
Why can't she
well,
be
she's
a
not
diva?
here. She doesn't live here. She's one of lives in Scottsdale.
Okay.
But they
Letitia.
embraced her when
Yeah.
she comes here. They embrace her. She's Wagner's godmother.
So she could be a
She
diva.
could be. If she was here,
So
she'd
being
be
a
a diva.
diva means you have to be in the area.
Well, for the most part, yeah. I mean, it's proximity.
In the proximity. Well, yeah, and even with Pam, even still, like, Pam is still, if you look at the diva, she's still stemming out of Halloween.
Halloween.
So like, I know Pam, but I wouldn't, I don't have a relationship with
Right.
her.
The same
Just an
type.
association, we
Yeah.
hang out, we
Right.
have great conversations. I can
Right.
tell she's a great person.
Right.
But I think if she lived closer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not counting any of that out, but if you're
Right.
saying,
Right,
you
yeah,
know,
right,
because
yeah.
Heloise was expressing her starting age,
Mhm.
and we all have different.
We
If you want
all
to use
have
that term,
different-
starting and whatever the number is.
So close friends. We're talking about close friends.
Your question to me is how many
How many
close
friends?
friends? Say about 5.
Okay.
And
Some in the diva and some aren't.
Right.
Right. Yeah, because there's some people you have to, for example, you get messages from Tamika. I haven't seen you in a while. Are you okay? I was like, well, like you're looking like, yeah, I guess I'm okay. So, that kind of thing. So she's one of the younger ones and always looking, I think that's the mom in her.
Mm-hmm.
But
She does all- she
she
does
really
all of
is.
us.
Yeah, she's like the mom. Because she was the youngest of 5. And so, like, relationships are really like, we are her family, kind of thing. But because everybody else is out of town. But for me, I don't really have that many good friends because over time people have passed on, unfortunately. But I have rekindled a couple of relationships, friends with these people from since we were 12. Yeah, and so now we're in a book club together.
Okay.
So we even travel together once a year, and we try to do something along the lines of learning more about Black history and what have you. So one of the girls who was held, they went to the same beauty salon. See, this is one thing about
yes,
Black people. They're either
yeah.
connected by some church, some
Or
organization,
church, or something.
beauty salon,
Right.
Or hair.
or hair
salon.
Exactly.
Or
And,
hair.
and so she's one of my good friends. Well, a couple of the girls in the group, they all got married. I never got married and had children. So my dynamic was totally different than people that never got married.
Same
And
here.
so I did other things, and I had a job where I traveled a lot. And so I probably, like, for example, we're going to go to Birmingham next year, Birmingham, Alabama. And we were talking about, I was like, oh, well, we got to do this. Well, how do you know about it? Well, I traveled there because I knew somebody in Atlanta, took a car trip up the road, which is about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and hung out in Birmingham, and I got to see a lot of stuff. It's a great place to go. You can learn about our history. So we're going to go there. But I've traveled a lot. And so...
That's a good point because it sounds like you can't really be a best friend if you're not in proximity.
I disagree with that. I think you can be. It's how do you cultivate that relationship?
So
Like,
how
this-
do you cultivate that relationship? You're
You-
not able to go out and
But I think it's communication. And now that you have texting, you have phone
God,
calls, you
yes.
have email, you have Facebook. The friend I had since kindergarten. She lives in Maryland now, but she's lived everywhere but Philadelphia since we got out of college. But we stay connected. So at least once a year, we make an effort to see each other. We keep each other updated on our kids went to preschool for a minute together. And even when she moved, I went to whatever the middle of Jersey was that she lived there to see her. But we intentionally make sure we stay connected. It takes more work, and you don't see them as
but
often.
you actually have
but
to
we
be physically
intentional.
connect.
We
Meaning
connect.
that if
Yeah.
there was never that physical coming together,
Mm-hmm.
the friendship would probably fade away.
It would fade over time. Yeah,
But Hellenius
yeah,
is very good about that. Whereas when you stay single, I've been single all my life. One of the things that's very, very difficult when your friends start marrying and having kids is the fact that, let me just say this, you don't fit in. And so then you become a threat to the whole group because you're the odd man out being single.
Yes.
And people are like,
Does the friendship change?
the friendship
It
changes.
can change. It can
It changes.
change.
But,
They were
no,
can.
It
but
can
wait a
change
minute. Hold
from-
up. Now, these
it-
are
I
our
say
close
can.
friends.
Yes.
Mhm.
We're not talking about acquaintances.
Well, I'm gonna
right?
tell you, I told you both times I
It-
got married, I said, I'm gonna be clear. These are women you have to understand. They're gonna be in this house. They're a part of my life. They're not my blood, but they are like sisters to me.
But
I'm
that's
very
different.
I say
That's
very
a
different.
what can
different
happen
position.
is what can happen. I say can. I know I have a really good friend who's not in the diva circle. She is married with a child now. So the aspect of our friendship that has changed is the physical time that we
Right.
spend
Right.
together, meaning in each other's physical space. But when we get a chance to talk on the phone, we pick right up where we left off, or it's that I need to talk about something. I know I
Yes.
can talk to you.
Yes.
I want you to share in this special experience
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
But my family knows you are my friend. You're like my sister. Even though I have a biological sister,
Yes.
but you're also like my sister. So
Yeah.
my family, I know that, and my family knows that. So we might not spend as much time as I do with the divas, but we can
connect.
our relationship is
Right.
still there.
Right.
Yeah. That's not what I'm hearing Paula say.
Okay.
Paula is saying, when my girlfriends got married and had children, I became the odd man out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is
the
very
And I
true.
lost friends.
I lost friends. I did lose friends.
How is that possible when we're like,
But you know what? It goes
I
to
can't
show
speak on
you.
that person.
But it really goes to show you that maybe what I thought was friendship really wasn't there. So I'm thinking a different kind of friendship that we're going to be friends forever.
yeah,
And you see them to this
Yes.
day, but it's never come back full circle. So there we
it never
go.
was. That's
And
what
there
you're saying.
was
Right.
it was never was. And so you become the peripheral people. There's like these are the people you hang out with, you see them or whatever, but you just kind of lose contact.
So
with
as
them.
women get married, have children, have husbands, their time gets eaten up
Yes.
by family and
Yes.
obligations, and so then there's less time for self, even less time for girlfriends.
Mhm.
I can say the two things. When Edward and I were married, and Shelly and and they know Shelly and I've been close for years. Even when I was married to Edward, it was actually a joke. Edward would joke that I got like 3 wives. I mean, because we always would still hang out. But Edward was the right kind of husband, and he wasn't intimidated. He was happy to have that I had other girlfriends. He got along with everybody. So it wasn't odd to see the 3 of us together, but no big deal. And then when Shelly got married, she noticed herself that, to your point, you get immersed in and she got married later in life. Husband, no children. He has a son. She has a stepson. But she noticed herself. She's like, I need to spend time with my girlfriends.
Oh.
She said to me, and she told me, I love you. This is great, but I am missing time with my girlfriends. I mean, like real time. So she started. She started making more time. When we went to Delaware last year, that was a huge deal. I was like, oh my God, Shelley's gonna go. I didn't think she. I mean, I just didn't think she was gonna go because it was a week away from her husband or stepson. She just hadn't been doing that, but she came with us. She was so excited. She was so happy because she said, I told Matt, and he was encouraging. He said, I miss time with my girlfriend. So she makes a concerted effort because it was important to her. And we were like, yeah, come on. But you have to make that choice if you want to preserve your
Gotta
relationships.
nurture. You gotta
And your
nurture.
friends understand that your time is different when you're married with children.
Right.
But to totally
Yeah.
ignore you, that's
I
something I can't tolerate
I
that.
can
That's very
say,
different.
As
Very
similar
different.
to Paula, I am not married and I don't have children. One of the things that I look at, I observe is like, okay, I respect that you have family time, but I look at, well, but how is our friendship? Whenever the time is made, because I'm not home twiddling my thumbs. So whenever the time is made, is it still that quality friendship?
Did you have a conversation with your friend, or did it just
So I will say my real friends that have gotten that five, whoever is married in that five, we still have our quality friendship.
That's
Because
fine.
Did it have to
That's
be
great.
discussed?
No, it didn't have to be
They
discussed.
just
That meant it was
It
really-
didn't
sort of
have to
like
be
with Eloise,
discussed.
it was a given.
And they got married in their late 30s, early 40s. So for some women, that could be considered late in life for some women. And so, but what I think also helps is her spouse is aware of, I know how many women my wife has in her life, and I can see the relationship, who she's close with and who she isn't, and I respect it. So and that's my observation, because I remember him saying, this is one of my girlfriends who I went on a trip with, I am so glad you can come. I know you are like her sister, and I'm so glad you can be there with her.
That's wonderful.
That's
So
important.
let me go somewhere else with this. Close friend. You don't think her husband is good for her?
What?
You don't think
her
her
husband is good for her?
No, I didn't say that.
No,
No, she's giving a scenario.
This is another
Oh, okay.
scenario.
I'm like, wait, what? Okay.
Do you tell her? Do you get in her
Wow.
business?
It's interesting
Now,
because
this is a friend. We're not talking about acquaintances.
Right,
We're
right.
talking about a friend.
You know, fortunately,
I don't approve of them. Or I saw
Fortunately.
something.
Fortunately, I have not been in that situation, so I can only answer hypothetically. And one of the things I will start off and say, I would probably ask my girlfriend. I think I may have asked before she got married, if I ever saw something with your husband, how do you want to handle that? You know,
That's a good question.
and her answer then could be different now. Could be
That's
different
it.
now. I'm not naive to
It'd
that.
be like, why are you asking
I'm
me
not
that?
naive to that. So you know,
What
because-
did you see?
Right.
Why
So
would
it
you
could be a lot of
Why
other
would
questions.
you even bring that up?
So I guess it would be. I've never been in that situation, and I'm glad and I hope I will never. But I would really have to think about that. And
So you've been happy with every partner your girlfriends have had?
from what I know, have I been happy with every for the five that matter?
For the five, we're only talking about the ones that matter.
From what I knew, because to be honest with you, I wasn't always intimately involved in their relationships. I respected it.
You knew the
know.
girlfriend, but not necessarily the
I,
husband.
whatever
You knew
y'all
the
pillow
boyfriend,
talk and
whatever.
all that
Right.
stuff is,
You did-
I
okay.
don't need to know all of
So that
that.
was something
I've
else.
never been. So interesting enough, I'll say this. One of my friends, I found out later that the relationship that she was in wasn't what it seemed. And I only knew that because I wasn't always with them.
Yes.
But she would share information, and it eventually came out. She was like, he was abusive, verbally abusive, not physically abusive. Right. So it's not like I could see anything on her.
Yes.
And she was like, and remember when this was happening and I was doing this? This is why. And so she was breaking stuff down.
So
to me.
she was telling you this
After the
fact.
fact. And after she was like, yeah, I took this job at so-and-so city because I was plotting to get away. They weren't married, they were dating. They weren't living together, they were dating. And I was like, oh, because, he's in law enforcement, so she had to kind of be strategic and all of that. So I was like, oh. So, and then I remember one time she had told me, he said to her, she's not wife material. I said, well, why are you still with him?
Right.
Why are you
If
still
someone
with
tells
him?
you that,
And she
yeah.
explained whatever she explained, but I also knew she was making her changes in her own time. No matter what. And that's what we do. I can sit up here because I say that because I grew up, my mother was abused by my father.
Yes.
And experiencing that, I realized a woman's going to make her decision when she's ready. And everyone has their own time, deal breaker, all of that.
But what does the girlfriend say?
I think it depends on the situation. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. What do you want me to do if this particular situation happens? How can I support you? I think that's where we start off, because I can't assume Heloise would say, I need you to do A, B, and C. I have to let her tell me. I think the only thing that I could do is, I'm here for you. How can I support you? Because what I have learned, she is going to do what she wants, when she wants it, and in her own time. I can sit up here and scream and scream and scream and, you know,
That's true.
for whatever reason,
That's very
women go
true.
back to their abusers. For whatever reason. I've seen that. And so, and I think we've learned over time as a society that there are certain things as a support person, you have limitations because you're not the person in the situation.
There's a meme that always circles around Instagram, and it says everyone has to have that girlfriend, that ride or die, that all you gotta do is say, bring a shovel, meet me at night, and wear black. And they don't ask no questions, like, where we going, what time. And for me, that I think that's very real. I mean, it's a joke, but no, that's true. You have friends that you know, Tammy, I just need you to meet me here. I need you right now. Don't ask no questions, just show up. And they will. And you know who you can say that to, right? You know who's going to be like, I'm down for the cause. And you'll be like, okay, I'm on the backside when you got to work things out. I'm here to help you smooth things over. But you got, and you know that. But you know that there's women in your life, the real friends that you have, that you can say that to. And no matter what, they're going to be there for you. They're not going to ask. They're like, what do you need? I'm right here.
Right.
And it's really true. I think it's very true. And it's
I
important
thought we
to
were going to talk
have.
about sex.
We are.
I know,
I'm trying to get back to it. But this is too
I was
quick.
about to put that on and have it recorded. No, I'm just kidding.
Heloise,
I'm just kidding.
now you said you're divorced, which means that at some point you realize this is not going to work. Did you tell your girlfriends?
Yes, I had
After
chosen
the fact
no,
or during?
probably during, leading up to, and then when I left. Yes, did all three
The
phases.
entire time.
And then some the entire time. There were women I knew that there were friends I knew I could tell absolutely every little thing, my plan and what I was going to do. And there were some that I knew, okay, I can tell them at this
So
point.
now, just to be clear, you said I have 8 friends.
Yeah.
Of those 8 friends, when you were going through this transition, were you telling all 8, or did you know I can tell this one this much?
Yep. Yes.
That
The latter.
one, I'll just save this part for.
The latter. And the first thing you said, and then at a certain point, all of my closest friends knew, I am leaving. This is not this is just not, I'm not happy. This is not working out for me. And here's where I'm going to be moving to. Yep. And there are others that knew from the very beginning, here's my plan. In a month, I'm going to be here. Oh, by the way, I need you to keep my child this weekend because I need to pack. That would be Pam. And I'll be back, and it was fine. So you do. But before it was all done, all of my close, they knew exactly, and they were like, okay, as long as are you okay? Are you all right? Where you gonna be? Are you happy? I'm good. How's Wagner? I mean, literally, but it depended. But by the end, everybody knew.
All right, so Tammy, back to your point.
Oh, okay.
And so you said that you talked to your girlfriends about sex with your partner.
Absolutely. Sex in general, sex with partners, sex in the past, sex in the future. That's Tammy. That's Tammy. Tammy is our go-to.
I thought that was supposed to be a no-no. You don't talk to another woman about your man.
Well, I do. I talk to Tammy.
To
I
another
talk to Tammy
woman
about everything.
about your man.
You know
I
what? I can
did.
say this. I don't think they were giving me
like-
play by play. But
But eventually, I
you
would
know,
say,
to the left he did it
but-
6 times. To the right he did it 9
I
times.
would say that Tammy knows all about mine. Because I sometimes have to unpack shit, and I need to talk to Tammy, or I need to complain, and I will talk.
So
Tammy knows. I talk to
men
Tammy
have
like that.
complained about women talking about their bedroom stuff with their girlfriends.
But you gotta talk to somebody that ain't working, because sometimes somebody else may have some advice for you, or tell you to read a book.
I will tell you this. I will tell you, being the recipient of this information over time.
When you're the people come to
Tammy's
you.
the best.
They'll talk to me. Well,
Yep.
you know, they'll either
Because
talk to
she
me
doesn't
or
have any
Inhibition.
She's not
filters.
inhibited. Right. She's
not
She's
judgmental.
not inhibited. So you
At
can you can be you
So you
and feel comfortable.
feel just telling the real
Telling
deal.
the real
Because,
deal.
again, Tammy,
Because
stop
she doesn't-
being,
How did you get to be this
stop
way?
being an uptight
My mother.
Episcopalian. I mean, this is her mom is the best, and Tammy's just like her mother.
My mama. So growing
Miss
up,
Lorraine
my
is awesome.
parents were teenage parents. And so one of the things my mother wanted to make sure of that I wasn't a teenage parent. And so she did it in her own way. My mother, early on, started talking to us, meaning my brother and I, about sex. And to the point, I was like, no, I don't want to hear it, no. And so I distinctly remember certain things.
Was she saying, don't do it, or
She was
saying, this feels good,
She
this
was
is the
saying
position?
a lot of, depending on the age that we were.
I
I think she made it age appropriate in a sense.
So the question I'm trying
I'm
to
sorry.
get at is a lot of times when parents talk about sex to their children, it's don't do it.
Okay, it was a combination.
Versus
So-
it's wonderful, it's
It was
pleasurable.
no. My mother told me. I remember one point my mother told me sex hurts.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I was like, okay. But one of the very first things I remember her telling me, remember HBO came out. And so we were watching HBO one night, my brother, my mother and father. And there was a movie there was a sex scene on it. I don't remember the movie. My brother and I, we're kids. We're laying on the floor watching it. She's like, Tammy, don't you let no man out there be pumping on you like that. You see it? And then she goes, I'm like, and then she tells my brother, and don't you be, and whatever she said, because I was still hung up on what she said to me. And so I'm like, Mom, and I remember her telling my brother, don't you eat at every woman's table because you don't know what they putting in your food. Women put period blood in your food. Like my mother used to tell us that.
Wow.
And she used to tell us, she's like, my mother used to say, don't sleep with white men. Because she said that they are nasty. She said they stink. I was like, oh, okay. She was like, don't be out there sleeping with white men. I was like, oh, okay. All right, Mom.
Do you know where that was coming from?
How she was raised.
And they never seem to leave.
How she was raised, and so, but the interesting thing is my grandfather, her father is biracial. His mother, from what they told us over the years, his mother's white. And his father was a light-skinned milkman. And literally, and she got sent away when they found out she was pregnant by a black man. But this is how she was raised. She went through that time of segregation, of passing. She had family members that were passing and they would go and get things for them. Even though my mother's light skinned.
Yes.
But there were family members that were lighter than her. And she used to tell us that. But this is how she was raised. And so, but back to the sex, my mother kept saying, she was like, I want you to learn it at home so you don't learn it in the streets.
That was smart.
I want you to have the right information. I remember, when I had sex for the first time, my mother was like, come here.
Did you tell her in advance?
No,
She knew.
I didn't tell her in advance.
She knew.
She knew.
As somebody else I know,
She knew. I didn't have an attitude or anything. I didn't pop off
Maybe
at the
this
mouth.
was how.
Right.
Maybe this little telltale sign.
Right. And so she was like, come here. Because I started my period very early. I started my period at 9.
Ooh,
Like,
I
so
thought 11 was that.
she had to.
Yeah.
She probably had to. Let me watch her.
Let me talk to her real
Let me
soon.
talk to her.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a floozy or anything. But
But
she was
still.
like, you're 9. I need to make sure that. She had already
That
been
you
talking
know,
to us
which is
about
good,
sex.
which is
It's
good.
really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
But I just remember before my cycle, she was already talking to us about sex. So I just remember, and she was like, "Come here." And she, the conversation was like, did you have sex? And so I was like,
I have a friend that did that.
Had you?
she was,
Okay.
she
They
was
can
like, you
tell.
don't have, I'm not mad at you. You can tell me. And I was like, I did. And she was like, how do you feel? How was that? I was like, it hurt.
She told you
like,
that,
I
right?
told you. Not I told you as in try to make me feel
Feel
bad.
bad.
I said it.
But she was like, but it's not always going to be like that. And so, but my mother was very open about it because her mother was not.
And my mom was.
Her mother was not. And
mom
my
was
aunties.
And you felt like you could go to her whenever you needed to.
I did. You know, I felt like I could talk to my mom. Like when I graduated and went off to college, that part of I didn't tell her every encounter, of course. But I felt like I could. I felt like she wasn't that prude of a mother. Totally different. Totally opposite. And the interesting thing was, if I think about the different conversations I may have overheard with either her and my aunties, I probably heard some sex conversation and I didn't really realize it. But no, she was very open. She was like, my children, particularly my daughter, will not be a teenage mother. I said, well, listen here. By you having my younger brother when I was 9, that was the birth control. That was one option of a birth control for me because I had to babysit, change diapers, and all that. I was good. So yeah, so I think how that translated to me in the sense of I was able to, because she talked to me sort of at a younger age, it was comfortable for me to talk about. It was comfortable for me to look at massage. I remember we had a book growing up in the house. I don't know. It was a book of naked people. But it was about massages, different things. And I was like, as kids, you knew what you were looking at, but you really didn't know what you were looking at, right? And so I just felt comfortable, you know. And so now as an adult, it's like, okay, well, sex is a part of our human. Sex is a part of life. You know, sex can be many things. You know, why do we have to be prude? As women, we should be able to enjoy sex and not be judged by it, right? And so I tell my friends, no, I'm very open with it. You know, I don't ask for their details of their bedroom, you know, escapades. But they feel comfortable in telling me. So as a friend, I need to listen.
And she's good at it. She's very good. She knows how to receive us. She knows when to just listen. She knows when to make it humorous. She knows when to give advice or not. She's the perfect person to do that.
How do they know that about you?
Hey, how do we know
that? Depending on who it is, it comes out different places. You know what it is? I think that because just how expressive I am about it, you know, gosh, I don't even know how it started.
I know.
You know, because it's so natural for me. You know, I might tell them, oh, look at them shoes. Those are second level shoes, huh?
Like, what's the second level shoes?
I said, those are tip spread shoes.
Now we all know what that means.
You know, they all know what it means now. You know, and so maybe little comments like that, you know, everything. And so, yeah, or I might comment like, I love being a woman. I got this dress on and it's blowing up my dress. I feel like the York peppermint patty first one back in the day, you know, or it's just like, oh, you know, we're voluptuous. So it's like, I recognize as Black women how beautiful we are in all of our states. And it's sexy too. And so I guess so it comes out differently. Paula was taken aback for a little bit at first. She was like, she was like, whatever the Thanksgiving party she had, she was like, okay, I know who I can't invite. Because they don't know how to take you. I'm not disrespectful with it either.
But you know your audience. And so you have to make sure that where does she come from? And what have you? Like, I'm okay with it because you are who you are. I mean, I've been in so many different situations, it really doesn't matter. And I think because I was single for all of my life, and I really got a chance to experience a lot of things in life that many people have never had the opportunity to. But you know your audience. You're like, well, can't invite them, can't invite that person. Because the one thing that I will not have a so-called friend do is to talk about another friend. And so if you come to the party and you're going to sit here and make me feel bad because I'm friends with someone, well, then we don't have a friendship. Friendships mean so much to me that I would rather not invite you, and we can do something one-on-one, and that's okay. But you can't be a part of this, because this group has, how can I say, we don't have titles for people.
Right.
We don't have, you have to act a certain way for people. We come to the table as ourselves. And if you can't accept people as themselves, then you don't get an invitation to the table. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with that. And so there are people that I know that won't fit in, so you just don't invite them. But there are other people that, like with my book club, that we started this club about 3 years ago. There were a couple of people I could have invited, but then I know there's a couple of people.
I was like, never mind.
Never mind. I'm not even going to do this to myself, okay?
Different circles of friends.
Yeah, different circles of
friends.
We all have that.
And some people just don't feel comfortable in certain situations, and it's fine. You just don't feel comfortable. There are other people that are very comfortable because they're comfortable with themselves.
There you go.
And I think that makes a big difference too.
That's the key.
You have to be accepting of yourselves. And I think one of the things, being single and what have you, and never marrying, I really did a lot of different things. Like I had a lot of experiences. Like my big thing at one time in my life was I used to go dancing like all the time, like ballroom dancing and salsa dancing. So I would go into a club and it's like, you don't really know anybody, who you gonna meet? So sometimes, oh, Paula, we know you, come and sit with us. So that you become part of that kind of thing. So I used to do a lot of different things. I had so many life experiences that if I had gotten married, I would have never had those experiences. I mean, so I met a girl and we worked together. She said, hey, I'm going to, she was from Italy. She was Italian, first generation American. We're going to rent an apartment, my sister, the brother-in-law, my niece, and what have you. You want to come to Italy? And I stayed with them for a month.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
like I really
Nice.
had.
Wow.
I went to my friend that got married in Paris. I was in her wedding. Like I had so I didn't have the husband or the kids, but I said, how can I channel my energies and do other things? I always wanted to work in New York. I worked in New York for 7 years. I commuted, but I worked in New York because that was a goal. But I did a lot of different things, so I think that it made me more open. The only thing I have to really say is I'm truly an introvert because I do so many things by myself because I had to rely on just me, that I'm probably not as open as most people. But I think one of the things about friendship is that you have to listen to people. And I remember my mom said to me years ago, you hear what I'm saying, but you're not listening. And you have to be a good listener. And I think that's one of the keys to being in tune with people and saying, you know what? I don't think that person's for me. And then, but you can still be friends with them. But they're the people out here. The people in the inner circle, they're very few. Yeah.
Well, ladies, this is wonderful. This is a wonderful get together.
Oh, thank you.
Beyond my imagination.
I'm sure.
What I've heard is that you don't have to be similar to be a friend to somebody. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. Did I miss anything?
You have to be honest.
Honest.
You want to be honest and
Trusting.
Yeah, definitely.
And overall, just be.
And it doesn't matter your age,
Doesn't matter your age. I think you just have to be accepting.
your sexuality.
Yes.
Whether you're in a relationship or
not.
not in a relationship, it's are you willing to initiate meeting somebody, going up to somebody, suggesting, do you want to hang out? And then just seeing if they're receptive and whether you two find common ground.
Yeah.
If Pam were here, she would laugh because when I met Pam, our husbands at the time worked together. And so I only met Pam because her husband worked with my husband, and I thought she was really nice. And she was here. She was not from Philly. She was living here. She lived a couple blocks away. She was pregnant, and Pam was an introvert as well, which like Paul, you would never know it. But I decided that I really like Pam. I met her once. I really liked her. I thought she was so cool. She's gonna be my friend, and she will tell you that I said that. I said, you're gonna be my friend. We're gonna get to know each other. And I told her that, and then one day I said, why don't you come and visit? She found her way to my house and said, I got lost. She will tell I got lost as a duck trying to find, because I'm not from Philly, but I found your house, and we hung out and talked, and we've been friends ever since. Like I said, the point she's Wagner's godmother, but there's something about her that struck me, that she was really nice, and I didn't want her, and for me, the empathetic side of me is I didn't want her to be alone. I mean, like, how can you're here by yourself. You're not from here. You're pregnant. Your husband is a blowhard. He's a nice guy, but he's all over the place. I don't want you to be by yourself. I've got a great group of people I want you to meet, and that was my intent.
Wow.
And 30 years later, we're still friends. But but that's kind of how I go with my gut. My gut told me she's really somebody I want to get to know, and I felt that way about.
And you were willing to.
And I was willing to, and I was willing to initiate it, and I think that's me.
No fear of rejection.
No, because what would I care? I have a bunch of friends. I'm like, whatever, and having had interesting relationships growing up as a younger woman, as a young girl, with having going to predominantly white school, you got all those other issues that comes with friendships, and only having one or two other black girls in the class, you're going to be together. So I was used to that, so the rejection didn't bother me. I was like, what the heck? I got my good friends. If I can get another one, that's great. If I don't, that's fine too. But my gut is usually on point. And I say that's why these ladies that are in my life right now that I totally depend on, and they may not know how much I depend on them really in my heart.
Is the circle closed? Is there room for another diva?
Huh. I don't know. We're all in our 50s now. I
don't know. The question is, do you stop making close friends? I mean, you still meet people, you still have acquaintances, but do you stop getting close friends as you get older?
I wouldn't say stop. I would say you could slow down because your time might be filled with the current people that are in your life. I know for me, no, it hasn't stopped, but that window has closed some, but I still have associates. So that window, there's room if that person can fit.
There you go. Yep. Yeah.
I might not always seek it out, but I don't close it off. So I'll say that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
For me, I think that I have buckets. So I do things with, goodness, my schedule's so packed. But I have people, I haven't seen you in a long time. Can we get together? So you might rekindle a little bit of what we had in the past. But that doesn't mean that we will be doing a lot of stuff together. Because it's really true. It's because I do so many things with the people that I really care about and people that they're my family. And so friendship to me is a broad definition of array of people, whatever. But friendship to me is a very, very special relationship. So, and so as far as bringing them in, you feel comfortable today, but you bring in someone, you're like, they're not going to work. But I can still have lunch with you. And I have a lot of those friends. Those are like my one-on-one friends. And I wouldn't give them up for anything in the world because they're really good people. They just don't fit in the group.
Well, I have to say, you guys don't sound receptive towards another diva.
No, I think it's hard. I think the older you get, I think my trust level is where it needs to be, and I'm very happy with the folks I have. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do something, but if none of them are available, there's really nobody else I don't want to have to work that hard.
Yeah.
I have someone that I could probably say, hey, maybe I want to go out to this picnic.
Friendship is a work.
It shouldn't be. It should not be work. My true friend, it's not work. It's not as much work, but there's something I don't feel like being bothered with. I'll put it that way.
Wherever you think you have to work at
I mean,
it,
working at it, that it makes it work, but I mean, it shouldn't be
Okay.
hard.
Okay.
And I don't want to have to work that hard to get you to.
Right. Yes.
So if my women I love most are not available to do something, I'll just be home. Like, I'm good, because I don't feel like it. I want to be able to relax and be myself and just flow. We flow. Paul and I walk. We could talk for hours. I can talk to Tammy for hours on the phone. Tamika doing all of us.
Right.
But I don't want. If that's what I want, then I'll wait for that. I'll wait till one of them is available. I don't want to. I'd rather be by myself. It's too much.
It's a real investment.
It's an investment. I have invested in these, and I'm good.
And I think too that recently I went on a retreat. My cousin invited me to it, and I met a bunch of women, and they were very nice people. But I can honestly say that they're not my kind of people. If I saw them and they wanted to get together for lunch, I would do it. But I would not overextend myself to say, if I had a big party, they could come. But if I had an intimate gathering,
and you wouldn't bring them here.
I wouldn't bring them here because they wouldn't fit. And it's because when I analyzed all of their different personalities, they're not where we are in friendship. And so I don't think many times, depending on your group, if you do the big thing, it doesn't matter who comes. Like, come on, come on. Let's have a great time. But when you get it down to the business of things, those aren't necessarily the friends the people that I met, I would not classify them as friends.
I'm real protective about my sisters.
Yeah.
I would not want to bring anyone in that could either have anything to say about them or be a little judgmental, or I might even think might have an opinion. I am fiercely loyal and protective to those that are closest to me. So even if I met someone like, oh, they're really nice, to your point, I don't know if I'd have them in a small gathering.
Intimate.
The big thing, because then you're kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
It's you're here, you got Tammy, did you meet Janine? It's cool. And that's good. That's all you need to know. But to have them in my home when we do our like happy hour, we're just sitting on the porch chit chatting about real stuff. Nah, because you say something about what you're out. You're out. I don't even want you to do that, and I don't want any of my closest, most important people in my life to feel judged or raise an eyebrow or no. I'm not. I have to really, really trust that new person to bring them this close. This close. That takes a lot. And at 59, I'm not quite. I don't do that as often anymore at all. At all. And if that's wrong, it's wrong. That's just me.
The divas have spoken.